Alright, this is my second time, or third time recording this actually. The second one made it very, very long. Also, I'm going to be eating as well because I have food to finish. I haven't eaten anything all day. So, yeah. Just munching. Dry ass food. 'Cause I left it out for so long. Yeah. Well, so my video was meant to be out like 30 minutes ago. It didn't come out for another 4 hours. You can blame me for that. Because I missed the whole section of the video that I forgot to edit. So I had to go back and edit. And we know how long exploitation goes. But anyway, on to the point at hand. Saint, one of my mutuals, has tweeted a series of tweets about One Piece and how it is in a tough spot right now and focusing more on Oda and other stuff that I will talk about in a second. So, his point starts off with him saying Oda is simply not creative enough or that good of a writer anymore to handle weekly writing One Piece law that I've accepted. Then he goes on to say, this is just a natural deterioration that comes with the bandwagon of writing, drawing the most popular comic in the world daily for 30 years. He can't plan for shit. That's why every midsection / climax of every arc for the past 4 years has felt lackluster. It all catches up to him, and we end up being disappointed. He needs to take a year off to properly plan this story, but he will never do that. Funny. Okay, then he's obviously saying this. It's funny as hell that One Piece fans aren't even attacking him, but they're just like it's basically undeniable because like the points that people are trying to make, either for or against, are just not really doing much. Anyway. Rain declared the Pommers plague in One Piece's Gear 5. While one of the greatest narrative moments in the manga, it slowly becoming one of the worst things to ever happen to this manga from a consistency standpoint. Oda doesn't have the bandwidth to balance Gear 5 with a natural story intensity at all. The form is too powerful, too unpredictable, and it sucks the structure out of any moment it is present in. Makes everything a big fat joke, and you can tell he doesn't care. Y'all can say what you want about Gear 5 Luffy versus Kaido, but there was an intensity here because Kaido was genuinely perplexed and somewhat scared by the shit Luffy was able to do. Oda should have built on this way and have Luffy's enemy see him that way. Now, I am going to give Saint a round of applause for this because he articulated himself well. He made very good points. His first point sounded outlandish until he started to explain himself, and that is when you start to understand. Okay, wait, don't just read somebody's first point and not read the rest. Read the rest. So, what's my take on it? Well, you guys already know my take if you watched my Gear 5 video on the fact that we have Gear 5 fatigue right now. And what he's talking about with Gear 5, Luffy and Kaido and everything is true. Now, when I was recording the last video, I struggled to piece together what was missing. I decided to go back and look at Oda's art. Yes, Oda's art deteriorating to a massive degree is true. Look at how Garling is represented here. And then look at how beautifully drawn each of these scenes are. I don't understand why people don't like the clearness of Oda's art here, because I think that Oda's art peaked in Annie's lobby. I think the clearness here is different. Now there could be a point where you'd be like, oh well, I don't see the difference, but Oda is way more hard on his shading. He's way more hard on all these different things. He's not as neat with the facial structures of everybody. It feels like, and you can tell that it was maturing as time goes on. And I personally believe that in my last thing said that Annie's lobby was the peak of his drawing. After further inspection, hell no. It's actually Dressrosa. Dressrosa has some of the bro. I think Oda, like Whole Cake Island, is still really good. Then it just goes out because Dressrosa, in my opinion, great art. Like, okay, all right, bro. Stop dying in the background. That's my granddad. Anyway, the art in Dressrosa, if you genuinely go back and look at it, like the facial expressions, like look, you could tell he's battle damaged, but when you go look at people battle damaged here, it looks way different. Like it looks way more rugged. Yeah, look, let me show you. Like it looks way more rugged. Like you can't exactly see it, but here you're able to tell that somebody's damaged. You can see all these little lines and stuff like that. And another thing I do want to say is that Oda, like one of the clear things that Oda is genuinely overworked is the fact that he doesn't even, and this is probably one of the telling signs overall, and we actually just miss it completely, is that Oda forgets to put Haki like indicators inside the story. And it's been happening since Wano. When he first introduced Advanced Conquerors Haki, he consistently decides not to draw it. I think that should have been the first tell to everybody that, yo, he's deteriorating. But let's also have a talk on Oda and Gear 5. I feel as though, sorry, my checky, because the chair is broken, bro. Look, this is me leading back and forth for this shit. Anyway, actually, you know what would stop it, the creaking, if I just put the seat higher up? Yeah, see, I'm rocking back and forth. I'm doing the exact same thing as I'm doing before, but it's just not creaking as much. Anyway, right. Sorry. I was just getting annoyed by that. I can hear it myself. But, yeah. And you know what? This is where I'm going to say it as it is. Right now, the writing inside of One Piece isn't bad. It isn't bad. Realistically speaking, Oda right now is putting out great chapters, writing-wise. Execution-wise, it doesn't feel great. You want to know why? No intensity. And I felt like we saw and felt that intensity leave through Egghead. And this is a point I really want to make. And if anybody wants to clip and ship this, go clip and ship this onto Twitter, go whatever. Tag me, say I made this point, come attack me. I don't give a fuck. My dick's out right now. No, it's not. But my stance on this is the fact that we saw Luffy put up a horrific performance in Gear 5 against Kizaru and Saturn and everybody, yet he was able to get away scot-free. Now tell me, when inside of the story has Luffy ever been able to put up a terrible performance and get away with it? When has Luffy ever able to act like a clown and ever get away with it? When? And you may be thinking, oh, but we see Luffy laugh and joke all the time. Yeah, but guess what? He switched. Bro, I don't give a fuck about. Anyway, like, he locks in, or either he just shows them like, yo, you're not on my level. And when we saw him clown around in Gear 5 against Kaido, because realistically speaking, Luffy is doing no different to what he did there. But actually, there is a little bit of a difference. You could see Luffy doing those little switches that he was snapping into gear, number one. And then number two, after snapping into gear with against Kaido, he put the beats on Kaido. Luffy, no, and I don't give a singular shit about what you say. I don't care. I don't give a fuck. I could care less. I could care less about what you think when it comes down to, oh, admirals, this, that. Luffy straight up was he didn't do anything against Kizaru. He didn't. And I feel like with that arc going by, and Oda basically showing us that, yeah, you know, Luffy's not like a clown, right? But the stakes aren't really gonna be that high, because I feel like Egghead. Okay, wait. Let me put it into perspective for you guys, right? In Wano, one of the biggest theories out there, two of the biggest theories out there, was of Luffy losing. Son, do you know how crazy that is? We thought that Kaido was so insurmountable that we thought that Luffy was going to lose. Now, yes, he is the main character, but we've seen Luffy lose. And that is where the intensity in the story comes from. When I remember my friend, because I was in the community, but my friend was, right? My friend was talking to me about Katakuri versus Luffy. And my friend was like, yo, I actually genuinely think Luffy may not, like, what was we playing? We was playing Fortnite. And my friend was talking to me about it, and he was like, yo, I don't think that Luffy is going to be able to defeat Katakuri. This is to his brother. And I was like, who the fuck is Luffy? Who is Katakuri? Back then, I only, I was only just like My Hero, just like 2018, like way back when. Was it before that? When did, cause, yeah, like 2018, 2017, like that era. 1 second. Yeah, it was around those times, and he was like, "Yo, I don't know if Luffy's gonna be able to defeat Katakuri." I was in the call like, "Who the fuck is Luffy? Who's Katakuri?" And he was like, "Oh, it's One Piece." I was like, "Okay." And so I know that even as far as back then, niggas, yo, the intensity now is insane. It, like back then was insane. Now, because of what happened on Egghead, we know, and you know what, like there's so many different layers to this, and I hope you all listen to my full point. There's so many different layers. The first layer is the fact that we know Luffy is destined to get wherever he needs to get. So, right now, quite frankly, it's how he gets there, which is what will entice us. And the way Oda is getting to that is bland and boring. It's bland and boring as fuck. It's quite frankly bland and boring as fuck. Yeah, I can care less for it. It doesn't entice me, doesn't excite me, doesn't do anything for me. And ever since we found out that Luffy was like the chosen one, this, that, and the third, like he's gonna get there. With the shit that he did on Egghead, and this is why I'm saying that, yeah, technically speaking, Oda is writing well, but I don't like it because he could have written it. He could have wrote it in a different way, and it could have been way better. All right, you wanna ask? You wanna ask? Oh, okay, Mr. Writer, how do you do so? Well, this is what you do. You don't make Luffy enter Gear 5 against Kizaru and Saturn and not do anything. You don't make Luffy seem like he's doing nothing against the Gorosei, and if you want to do that, then make him lose. What Oda did was a cop-out. And it was clearly there to, in my eyes at least, and what I think a lot of the community has unconsciously just taken in, or subconsciously, whatever, just taken in as a whole, is that, yo, we ain't really in danger. Like, and especially right now in Elbaf where you have, bro, alright, I can't show it, but the Giants come back. Dory and Brogy killed each other, and then they're now back alive. Can no one die? Can anybody die? And it makes me feel like I want to make a video explaining why I don't care about One Piece anymore. And why I've lost so much passion. Like, the passion for One Piece in me has died. Genuinely, I may make a video on it. And however the video is received, it's received. But I'm so not moved by any of this anymore, because it feels the tension isn't there. Luffy overusing Gear 5. Yo, Luffy, you didn't have to come up into the overworld in your Gear 5. You could have entered that shit in Gear 4. Could have been like, yeah, come, where's Emu at? And then when Emu pushes you, you're like, okay, cool. And the whole end, like, when everything's going south inside the arc, it looks like we're about to lose. That's when you pop up Gear 5 and you're like, ah ha ha ha. Smile, everybody. And he then started to, like, properly fight with Emu. You could even lose against Emu. I don't care. But my whole point is that you can't introduce a form this dominant and not expect us to be like, okay, every single time you enter that form, I want you to be dominant, bro. You went on and took down Kaido, King of the Beast, one of the most infamous pirates, the most hyped up people inside the entire series, and you want to tell me that you went from that to not being able to tussle with an admiral for a full on 5 minutes and keep an old man safe? I don't care. I could care less. Kizaru the whole entire time was not trying to kill Vegapunk, yet Luffy couldn't stay in front of him. That, to me, I don't feel anything from Gear 5 Luffy. You've instantly tanked his likability. You know, in the side of my video, I talked about Luffy up against Lucci. When did that happen? Around here, right? It's like 1069. Something like that. Look, when this happens, right, and Luffy is clowning this nigga, what, you don't think that we wasn't calling this aura? You don't think people was so interested in this? It's because it's like, he's clowning, but he's also getting his licks off. Oda, you have absolutely destroyed what you want to do because you are so invested in one. You're so invested in Gear 5 Luffy to the point where, man, fuck all your speech problems with you having to overcram your panels or your art deteriorating. Fuck with all of that. To hell with all of it. We need to have a conversation as to why you have deteriorated one of the best transformations we have gotten in Shonen. You've deteriorated it. You have made it nothing less than Luffy's base form. And I understand, writing-wise, it should be. But then again, we don't get... Like, look, if you're going to make it his base form, at least make it a base form where he looks powerful. You make him look like it's just another version of Luffy. In terms of strength. Like, it doesn't feel like it moves the needle. Like, we go from... Right. let's set the stage, right? So Luffy comes down and kicks Kizaru, right? And you know, no, babe. Rewind. During Wano, there was a theme that Luffy in his base form was cracked. Look, like, it wasn't cracked, but he was somebody who could hang with the top tiers. Explain to me why. Oda, you forgo that entire notion. Look at this nigga Luffy. He's fighting with a top tier consistently, and then you want to go into Egghead, and you want to mess it up by... Is that Nami in the back? Oh, Fez. I thought that was Big Mom. For a second at least. Where is it? Right, so Luffy tussles with Kizaru in base, right? First kick, and my whole entire notion and what I ascertained from base Luffy for so long was that base Luffy was somebody who you gen, like, if you're not an admiral level fighter, like, or no, I say like a, what I like to call weird tier type of fighter. You can't. Admiral is like a little bit too high. I think like Admirals will fry base Luffy, but if you're not a weird tier fighter, you can't bang with base Luffy. But we see here that he goes into his Snake Man for move. And then he's not even using the Advanced Conqueror's Haki. He's not using all these different things. So and I feel like this is an excuse for him to then go into Gear 5. My guy, you could have fought in base for a pretty long time and you would have kept Kizaru busy. You could have fought him in Snake Man with an Advanced Conqueror's Haki. You would have kept him busy. Why do you go into Gear 5 and you start doing this stuff and you're not performing? To me, it's irritating. I don't care what all of... You know what, furthermore, let's go to my video and go look at the comments. Because Saint's Plane does tie directly into my video. Let's go to my video. Of the One Piece community. Right. I don't get 5 fatigue, but I do have mythical zones fatigue. Right. That, so prepare because 100% confidence that Yummy is be a mythical. The fact that you turn to darkness is you just sound like a Loki. Okay, right. So there's people talking about that, right? I remember reading the comments like once, because look, the comments are like down in the same. So people are definitely chatting in these comment sections. So I'm gonna need to get deep into this, right? So I don't remember where I saw it, but somebody pointed out the fact it's possible Luffy it's possible to lose the will of a Zoan once it awakens, and a 3 months control of your example, the jailer beast. Alright, so basically, okay, right, that's a good point. Now, this guy makes a good point. I think I remember him making a point. I remember I liked it. It was like really early in the morning. My only problem with how it's represented is the anime nailed when we saw Gear 5 and Lucci's eyes. That's how it's meant to be represented. To innocent people, it should be a joyful laugh, but to enemies, it should be that should be shit downright maniacal and menacing. But instead, he looks like a clown. Sorry, I didn't mean to scream that loud until it is. Oh my god. Luffy should never be trained to be maniacal or menacing under any circumstances. That's just. Yo, is he stupid? Yo, I don't know who this person is. I don't know who you are. Sorry if the word stupid is attacking you too much. But what do you... Yo! Luffy for the... I made a whole entire video on it. Luffy as a whole, his accurate depiction is to be maniacal to people who don't know, who are meant to be his enemies, who don't know him. That's his whole entire thing. Luffy is only meant to bring inspiration. His presence isn't meant to inspire fear in the traditional sense. His enemies should look into the sheer ridiculousness of lost and truly understand what they're witnessing and crumble in the face of pure joy and absolute free. That's a book. Yo, look, I'm gonna cut it straight. The enemy, people who want to go against Luffy are meant to fear. He's meant to look like some maniacal being because Luffy, quite frankly, is a terrorist. He's a Yonko. What do you mean he's not meant to look like? And this is the point. People have gotten the notion of Luffy being a liberator, and Luffy. I have to make a video on this, bro. Give 5 with a loss. I'm trying to see. Subversion is not always good. A lot of Luffy's best times when he's mad. A tendency of Furious Gear 5 removes those aspects and instead makes every fight a joke, with most of which aren't even funny. Another good point. Stakes versus trolling. Yeah, and that's the thing though. Oda knew how to balance that shit. The problem with Gear 5 Luffy is that it can be difficult or somewhat frustrating for people, myself included, to tell which way is genuinely putting effort in Gear 5 or not. Most due to the fact that the lack of shit indicates it hard. Okay, thank. Oh my god, thank you. Maybe crazy thought. It's One Piece fatigue. Maybe that's another thing that's probably true. Here's a crazy. I could see both points with that one. I hate Gear 5 because of the retcons from the Roberts and this one right here, I'm like, might help Oda confirms Nico through civilian influences personality. Then once master can trap personality. To be fair, it's relatively new, and honestly, the scene is so high for Gear 5 Luffy because it can basically use the fruit however he wants. Now, I swear I read some like comments where people were getting. Am I the only one who isn't getting bored of it? I mean, if you read the story, see that, and you know what? Crazy take. If you read the story over, and if you read the story as much as I have, I got the first person I ever heard say that you've had to get full fatigue, but like when you read the story as much as I have, you see these things. You're fatigued, and I think you're very accurate with this take. Like, other people don't read color that she said, "Who are you?" There's a reason for that. That's also a very good point too. I really hope that this issue with Gear 5 Luffy is resolved and taken over the user. And I think that's the general consensus that we've come to. It's my Super Saiyan. You're absolutely right. Hey, Dragon Ball Super. Yeah, like Super Saiyan never goes through this because Super Saiyan doesn't really need to have like. I wish Luffy had to take a kind of advice and not rely on Devil Fruit powers. Thank you. And I feel like all these points do point to Oda having good writing. If these points do come true, it's a good writing standpoint. But we don't like this era because he's a clown. It takes. I feel like we are fatigued of One Piece because Luffy isn't being interesting like he was before. As much as people want to say, oh, my favorite character is this, oh, my favorite character is that, a lot of people came back into the series and were starting to read One Piece again because of the Rock's flashback. But as soon as we got back to the main story, we don't care no more. We don't care no more. We don't. So, I feel as though the main point that this gets across to us, how far am I into the video? 25 minutes, alright. Alright. And this will be my last point. Luffy, quite frankly, yeah, sit this nigga down, bro. That nigga, bro, need to sit down. Say what ain't, that sucks. Yeah. I believe that as a whole, Luffy is killing the series. That's it. I can't even want to read that take. But yeah. This was another good point too, but I feel like you could have. Oh yeah. Wait, isn't Jason Tatum coming back? Wait, hold on, wait. Hey, bro. Yeah, I think we're ending now. That's demon. Yo, my timeline look horny as hell, bro. I promise I don't be liking any of these things. They just be coming up because this is they didn't even coin that tweet. Anyway, I'm off this, bro. Oh. Hey, so yeah. My go offer.
Oh, これが試練地球割り
Chai! Hey, bro!
希望の光だ
The light of hope. Chai demon. Chai. Chai demon. But yeah, man, I'm off this, bro. Oh, this sucks right now. Cause he sucks because of year 5 and Bureau.